Hello everyone and welcome back to My Opinion. And 3 games have been completed in this competition today, with the first 2 games being fairly one-sided as a whole. But the third game was a thriller between Pakistan and Zimbabwe, with Zimbabwe winning the game by 1 run. And on the first game, South Africa beat Bangladesh by a huge margin of 104 runs. And I'm not surprised they won this game. I'm not surprised they won big. I think that they were unlucky in the previous game against Zimbabwe, where they needed 64 off 7 overs in a rain-affected game. They were 51 without loss after 3 overs, and with the way that Quinton de Kock was going, you could have expected him to finish the game off a few deliveries after that 3-over mark, but unfortunately it is what it is, and they couldn't get the full 2 points that they deserved. And I think this win further reinforces the reason why, in my view, they are major title contenders. I think that I didn't attribute what happened in India to this competition for them. I think they're playing in completely different conditions, and I didn't think that they would have a confidence issue after what happened in India recently. I think with the players that they have and the conditions that they are playing in, I think they probably are the most intimidating side to play against in this competition. I think them and India, unsurprisingly, are the best 2 teams right now. And the game on the Sunday will be a cracking game. I think whoever wins that game will quietly be confident and they can go on and win the whole thing. And yes, the batting was brilliant. You could say maybe they would have wanted to get more than what they got, because they were 170, I think, in 16.3 overs. And Bangladesh did well to restrict them to 205 for 5, although it was going to be enough on the day, and it was more than enough. And from Anrik Nortje's perspective, I thought he wouldn't have been too happy with how things went in India from his perspective as a bowler. I think we did see his quality at times. For example, when in the first T20I, where South Africa were defending a low score, and Rabada and Nortje, especially Rabada, was brilliant. However, I think despite the fact that we did see glimpses of Nortje's quality, he did go for runs, and he wouldn't have been too happy about that. And of course, look, he's coming back from injury, and I think that that was kind of a major thing, where in my view that was the only reason why we didn't see the best of him on that tour. It is difficult for anyone returning from injury to get back to their best rhythm in a length of time. However, today he had the opportunity to do what he did, and I'm not surprised he had such success today in a part of the world that aids his kind of bowling, and against a side that who don't play, who you could say playing in Australia wouldn't exactly be anywhere near their strongest suit. And that to a side that since 2021, I think has averaged 11, striking at just over 100 against pace, which is above the 140 mark. So he had the opportunity to be very effective today, and he was just that. I think 4 for 10 in 3.3 overs. With the way Bangladesh started off after the first 2 overs, you could say that was their only real positive on the batting front this innings. From the first ball of the 3rd over, the innings, the chase was kind of derailed for the batting side, and South Africa won this game quite easily in the end. And yeah, that's on this game. I think South Africa, as I said, major title contenders, and the game on Sunday, I hope it's not rained off, because it will be a shame. I think whoever wins that game will get a huge edge, and they'll get even more of a belief that they can go on and win the overall competition. So on the second game, India beat the Netherlands by 56 runs, a win that will help their net run rate a lot. And India batted first in this game. Now, I think with this game, the first innings, how this went, it went on a roadmap that we have seen quite a bit when it comes to these associate sides in T20 cricket. Now, I think in today's game, as well as, for example, the Pakistan versus Namibia game in the previous T20 World Cup, India versus Hong Kong in the Asia Cup, and we may have even seen a 4th occasion, we could have seen a 4th occasion in the Ireland versus England game, where Yes, Ireland won the game in the end, but until the point where the game was washed out, they were the better side and they deserved to win the game. However, with the personnel that England had at the crease at that point in time, they did 53 of 33. You could say they were in pole position to get the job done. So we could have seen a fourth time, and that is, like today, the Netherlands were very good, especially with the first turnovers of the ball, and they made it quite difficult for India to score. It wasn't easy going, and I think the thing that we've seen with all kind of the three occasions that I've said is that they have bottled it at the death. We saw against Hong Kong where it was quite a struggle until that point, and then Suryakumar 68 of 26 gets India to 192 for 2. So we have seen it before, and today the same thing kind of happened where I think India went 95 for 2 after 13 overs, and I still thought they'd get to around 180, which they got to 179 in the end. So I did expect the collapse in terms of a bowling perspective, and we did kind of see that. And a magnificent innings from the best T20 player in the world, the T20 batter in the world, Suryakumar, the 51 of 25 balls today. Rohit Sharma with a bit of an unconvincing 53 of 39. He said it himself, but it got the job done. It got India from 11 to 84, where they got that launch pad where you thought the inevitable would happen. KL Rahul, he probably should have reviewed it. In fact, I'm surprised he didn't, because with the shot that he rehearsed just after the ball hit his pad, it was kind of a flick shot. So since he is an experienced player, you'd think maybe he'd have an inkling that, considering where the ball has hit him, and also with the shot that he just rehearsed, maybe the ball could have been going down. Like, he converted Rohit Sharma as well, so that's why I'm surprised that he didn't review it. And on Virat Kohli's innings, so I think, look, I'm not surprised by the innings that we have, the quality of innings that we have seen today. I think has exhibited fluency at times. I think the difference between, of course, playing against Netherlands and playing against or any other opposition and playing against Pakistan is because against Pakistan, especially in the situation that brought the best out of Kohli in that game that recently happened, was because it was mind over matter. Now, matter in this case is his physical batting game, where that is at this point in time. Now, the reason why you would have seen in the recent past that after the 100 against Afghanistan, I was quite skeptical that we would see him build on this effort. I didn't think it was an effort that would really result him in building on something, because I thought, for example, the 79 against South Africa in that test series was that if there was an innings that would kind of that could result in a rebuild, it was that innings. So yeah, I didn't think that the 100 against Afghanistan was going to change anything, and I still don't think this 82 would bring about something that, something different, because I think, as I said, mind over matter, and playing against Pakistan, of course, it's an opposition that he thrives against, and I think he does like kind of that occasion, and that game brought out the best in him. That situation brought out the best in him. Now, against other opposition, I think when the scales kind of tip to be kind of more at an equilibrium, or possibly matter over mind, for example, in this game, you'd think that the latter two would have been the case. We're seeing kind of the physical cricketing aspect, and that's the reason why I'm not really surprised that we have seen him play the way he has. It wasn't a bad innings by any means. Some 62 of 44, strike rate of 114, accelerated when he needed to. However, I think it does give an air of the fact that he isn't near his best. I'm not surprised that he has played the same. I just think against Pakistan, that situation brought out the best in him, and we've seen him play brilliant knocks against that very opposition all throughout his career. And he played the best knock of his T20 career a few days ago against them. So I'm not surprised that we have seen what we have seen, but there is a positive that, look, before this T20 World Cup started, I'd said that I think on Virat Kohli, that he should be, if he's looking to say, how can I make myself most useful in this tournament, despite the fact that my game is not where I would like it to be. And with the first two contributions that he's had, he kind of he's had a great start in trying to do that. So that is the positive that we can take from that, despite the fact that as I've just said, I think fundamentally I'm not surprised that we've seen the innings that we have seen today. And look, the Netherlands did struggle to get going, and Bhuvneshwar Kumar in his first two overs, despite the fact that there was no swing, he somehow ended up with 1 for 0. And yeah, I mean, I was very surprised that they didn't manage to take a few runs off it. Well, when I say a few runs, I don't mean hitting him for boundaries, but certainly not 2 maidens where there isn't any swing. But of course, look, he is a quality bowler, so I'm not taking anything away from him, of course, and I've actually defended him being in the side. And he's had a great start so far in the T20 World Cup. I think 1 for 22 against Pakistan in his 4 overs and 2 for 9 in 3 here. So he's had a great start so far in the T20 World Cup. And yeah, I think Ashwin once again today was brilliant. 2 for 21 in his 4 overs. A fairly routine win for India, and I think their net run rate will take a very good kind of increase from this win. And yeah, so far they started off the tournament really well. And as I've just said, I think them and South Africa are the main 2 contenders to take this competition. And finally, Pakistan versus Zimbabwe. So what a win this was for Zimbabwe. I think this is a side that has seen a fair few good moments in the last while. They beat Bangladesh in a T20I series and an ODI series after they'd just come off the back of beating South Africa in their own backyard. And they've recently won against Australia in an ODI, and they've in the last 2 years they've manufactured 2 wins over Pakistan, one in Pakistan over them in an ODI, and then in Zimbabwe in a T20I. And now they've qualified for a T20 World Cup, and so yeah, they've seen some success in the last while. And they got off to a very good start, 38 without loss in 4 overs. I think they capitalised on the fact that Naseem Shah was offered a bit of width, and Shaheen was pitching it quite full, especially in that first over. There was a bit of swing, but I think on this Perth wicket, it's the bounciest and fastest pitch in the world. And you do prosper hitting that back of the length, and Shaheen is more catered to bowling full. So they did capitalise on that. And they got that first advantage. However, the moment the first wicket fell, I kind of thought the inevitable would happen, and Pakistan did get back into the game. Now, there was a bit of a partnership for the 4th wicket between, I think, Sean Williams and Sikandar Raza, 2 of the most experienced players in this Zimbabwe side. And when they were 95 for 3, I thought 130 was possible. And with them, then they lost 4 wickets in the next 6 balls, and I thought, have they jeopardized their chances of getting there? Now, the advantage they have is the players in the lower order, like Ryan Bowe and Brad Evans. They are quite capable with the bat, and they did show that by getting them up to the 130. Now, at this point, Pakistan were the favourites. You thought this was you thought that Babar Azam and Mohammad Rizwan would fancy their chances with a total that was not a big one. However, I thought with, if I'm saying his name right, Garava, the way that he set the tone first up, getting Babar Azam to fish outside off stump, not fish, but waft outside off stump. And Babar Azam wasn't comfortable today, you could say, apart from the one boundary that he hit. And soon the dot balls did pile out. I think they got 3 runs in the first 2 overs. And the moment Babar Azam's wicket fell, they did have a chance to eat into that middle order. And they dismissed the opener. I think both openers were gone in the power play when the score was on 23. And there was the partnership that followed after that of if they got dismissed in the 8th of when the score was on 36. But the partnership that followed after that between Shan Masood and Shadab Khan, I thought the pressure from Zimbabwe did dissipate, and I thought that as long as Shan Masood was batting at the end, Pakistan would get over the line. Now, I thought The other from, I think, Sikandar Raza dismissing Shadab Khan and Shad Masood did change things, and the frailties in the Pakistan middle order they were exposed once again. And in the end, it was a nail-biting finish, but 129 for 8, and they'll be gutted that they couldn't go over the line in this game. And you would think that is this probably them out of the T20 World Cup? You'd think so, because I said I couldn't see them beating South Africa before. I certainly can't see them doing that now. But on Zimbabwe, I think something that I think to do justice to kind of this win, but even more justice you could say, because this is a brilliant result. I think I think they are still yet to play Bangladesh in this group stage, and if they go to Bangladesh, if they play against them and get a result against them, which I think they can do after getting a result here, that's also a side that hasn't had a great time with the bat. And if they kind of give whatever challenge that they can give to an India and a South Africa, I think they would have had a really successful time in this T20 World Cup, and they could take a lot of learning from this. Of course, managing is needed off the field, and I understand that has been a bit of a problem, and I do hope that kind of things get more regular, you could say, because I think with what they've been showing in the last while, there is potential. They've got the experience of the likes of Craig Irvine, Sikandar Raza, Sean Williams, and a talent in Wesley Madhavray, and they've got a bowling attack that has really manufactured the wins that they have got. So really well done to them, and let's see what they can do against the likes of Bangladesh. And for Pakistan, you'd probably think that they'd have to beat South Africa to stand any kind of a chance, and right now it's looking very, very unlikely. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, please share it with your friends, and remember, this is my opinion, what's yours?